Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Is it time we rethink how we view silver? Let's answer that question next. That is the question of the day, and I think today is a perfect example of an illustration of why it might be time to rethink our silver strategy and rethink how we view silver overall. You know, the metal has been used as money for thousands of years, as represented here in these Morgan silver dollars, but it is also a metal that has served as a hedge, as a safe haven in times of economic instability. But really, for quite a while now, and especially even more so in recent years, silver has a dual role, and it is really interesting to see how the markets are viewing silver and how there is this push and pull for silver prices. And today we're seeing a classic example of that play out before our very eyes in this recent event. And we're going to talk about that here in terms of the price movement for silver and its relation to gold. Because it's sad, you know, here we are. Most of us in this community would be known as silver stackers. Yes, some of us do have gold as well, but the vast majority of our stack is in silver. And whether you're a collector or a stacker or a hybrid of both, in fact, I've talked about that in a prior video, how in many ways there's times where you can be both, but the price of silver has been languishing, or the times where it has been incredibly volatile has been almost in a way sort of schizophrenic in its movement upwards and downwards. Especially, it's supposed to be a safe haven, and it's moving more like a wretched commodity, where the prices move up and down so greatly. You know, we have seen that kind of movement also in gold, but gold is seen more as a treasure. It is treasured, it is held, it is seen as that store of value, and it seems that as of late, silver has strayed from that in certain price movements. And we've talked about this before, but today's action in the markets, I think, plays a critical turning point. I believe it's a measurable thing that has occurred where we're seeing that spread between gold and silver widen even more. As I record this video, the gold to silver ratio is now well above 90-1. It's 90.7 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold in the price structure. And that is how the markets view the different metals as of today. You know, and as of today, the price of gold took a bit of a hit. The stock market has lost about 7% over the last few days here, and gold and silver have been going up. But today, both are going back down, but silver especially is taking a bigger hit. And I believe that that hit that silver is taking is due mostly to what I'm going to talk about next. There's an article here on Kitco that says that some analysts have said that silver is struggling to find momentum as investors fear that the recent rise in the prices due to the economic concerns over the spread of this new ailment that has been making the news for the last weeks and so will eventually become a pandemic, which means it's a global, could drag a global growth down this year. You know, it's said it's going to continue to underperform gold because gold is the better beta for monetary policy. And it's a better safe haven hedge. And this is from a TD Securities commodity strategist. There's significant risk of sentiment in the marketplace, including for industrial metals, and that is weighing down on silver. Key here is that it is an industrial metal just as much, in fact, even more so than seen as a monetary metal. Half of its physical, more than half of its demand comes from the industrial sector and also the biomedical field. And one industry that investors and analysts are watching very closely is silver. And there is a lot of silver that is being utilized in the photovoltaic industry than the solar panel productions. China has the largest PV silver market in the world, for over a third of annual installations and the majority of manufacturing globally. Many solar module manufacturing facilities across China were closed for at least 2 weeks as the authorities attempted to deal with this outbreak. While many factories have since reopened, the China photovoltaic industry expects output to be curtailed until mid-year at the earliest, with recovery from in the third quarter there. So I think that is quite telling. I think that tells us the industrial influence that silver is making in its value. But there are times when it's going to break from gold for its industrial usage, and that is, I think, what is leading to the ratio to stay fairly wide. And that's why I'm doubtful that we're going to see it narrow to what many of us feel like it should go to a narrowing somewhere around 50 to 60 to 1. It may be quite some time before we see that. You know, I did post a video recently about how the gold to silver ratio could tighten to 20 to 1. But that's going to take a dramatic turn in how silver is viewed. And it's going to take a lot more of the accumulation of the metal, of the physical metal in these forms by people like you and me. You know, you and me, we are very rare in the grand scheme of things in terms of the markets in general. A lot of people don't. In fact, there's a lot of people that were silver stackers before that have abandoned stacking silver because they lost money on it or what have you. It is a long-term hold. But I believe that if we do rethink how we view silver, I think we won't be disappointed for these types of movements. You can still buy it at lows and still accumulate it if you view it through a dual lens. And one of those lenses probably nowadays should be more powerful than the other. In other words, the lens of it as a commodity. And I think that I have learned to kind of see this, and you've heard me talk about it from time to time in videos past, but even more today. Now, this is just one day of activity, and again, I will remind those that as of the recording of this video, both gold and silver are down, but silver is down quite dramatically more than gold, widening that ratio between the two metals. And I think that is something that we should take seriously. And it doesn't mean that we should give up on silver. It just means that we need to take stock into how the metal is viewed in the marketplace. And because really, that's the bottom line. You know, a lot of us are frustrated, and we write it off as manipulation and the like. And by now, you should know my views on that particular topic. I don't believe that manipulation plays as big a role as many of you do in the community. But obviously, just like with anything out there, manipulation certainly is a factor. But I don't want viewers to get their hopes up too much with silver so that they're not disappointed in days like today if they happen again. What's going to happen in the future? I don't know. This is an unusual time right now as of the recording of this video, but there are other normal factors that come into play that have pulled the metals further apart without this situation occurring. And so that's something to kind of keep in mind here. And so I would encourage you to press on and yes, to even stack on as you accumulate this particular metal, silver. But keep an open mind, keep your eyes open, keep your hearts open, and think logically about your position in the metal as you accumulate it, and don't be overly expectant of where the metal is going to go in the future. I think that in the long run, if we hold on to the metal and we dollar cost average, make purchases when it's down and when it's out and when it's up and when it's over, when it's flat. Dollar cost averaging is the key. In the long term, you will generally preserve your wealth. And because there's going to be times where you buy silver and you will lose money on it, and you won't preserve your wealth in both real dollars and and adjusted for inflation. And there's going to be those times where you do better than the rate of inflation, and you can see it as an investment in those times. But it all averages out to the end for most of us as we stack to preserve our wealth, as we stack to hedge against the instability of the marketplace and economic troubles that may lie ahead. So I hope you found this video useful. Post your thoughts below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.